Scott, good to have you here. Glad you could join us. Maybe I'm making that up, but I was thinking about that last Deadly Gentleman song, Bored of the Raging, and I imagine that you've been there. You've had that experience. Yeah. So Helen mentioned you had a dark night of the soul, and that kind of turned things around for you. What was that all about?
Well, I started drinking and using at a pretty young age. I started drinking at 11, and then by the time I was 15, I was using cocaine. And so I had a lot of years of pretty dark nights, but the last night I used, I think it was the closest I've been to an overdose, and I kept thinking, imagine if my mom heard this is how they found me, dead on the bathroom floor.
Yeah.
So I decided to make a life change.
How old were you at that point?
I was 24 at the time, living in Boston. So.
And then you joined a gym. What was that? What led you to that?
Well, I was trying to fill that time that I used to drink and use, and that led me to a boxing gym. And a lot of the guys in the gym were sober because they were training for fights, and some of them were in recovery from substance abuse. So that became my fellowship.
Helen said that you began to create a program to help others, make an environment in which their sobriety could stick. How did you begin something like that?
Well, I saw a lot of my friends in recovery isolating and having a lot of social anxiety, and they were still stuck in the day when they got clean and sober. And so I thought, why don't I start an organization that allows them to build the same fellowship I got in the boxing gym.
So they're isolating because they don't want to go out with their old friends who are partying still. So they stay home, but they don't know where else to go.
Absolutely. And also they've kind of gotten stuck in this negative role, this negative self-identity. Yeah. And so they have to repair that. And
so what kind of people were you talking about? What kind of people are you hanging out with?
Well, the program I started, we serve folks of all different ages, but the average is about 30 years old.
Yeah. And
the age of first use is pretty young. Most of them started between 11 and 14 with their drug and alcohol career, as we say.
And it's mostly guys?
40% women come to our programs.
Oh, wow. And so, so what do you do? How does your program work?
Well, we have free events. Most of them are athletic-based, so we'll do bike rides and hikes and that sort of thing. We pick disciplines that have an inherent transformative power. You stand on top of that mountain, you cross that finish line, you start to walk a little taller, and your self-esteem shifts. So those things are all free. All the coaches are in recovery themselves. So there's that peer-peer exchange that happens.
Yeah.
Honestly, when we started Phoenix Multisport, that's the name of the organization, there really wasn't much beyond formal treatment. It was kind of a pat on the back and good luck out there in the world.
Yeah.
And so we try to build a community that can walk the next 20 years with the individual.
Yeah. And how many events do you end up doing?
We have about 50 events a week here in Colorado, and it's all free to anybody who's clean and sober for 48 hours.
50 events a week?
Yep.
So there's lots of choices at different times of day and different locations, and these are all athletic things.
Yep, and we have plenty of social events, but we want it to be attainable for everyone. So sometimes we do a full moon hike, and it's just mellow, and other times we do CrossFit or boxing still.
Yeah.
And when you have that addictive personality, it draws this different type of person to different events.
Wow. And so do you end up seeing the same people? Participation is pretty consistent generally?
Yeah, it is. We actually did a survey just recently, and we found that we only had a 23% relapse rate, and the formal treatment relapse rate is almost 50%.
Okay.
So we're much lower than that, and we don't even have a clinical component. It's just a positive social component.
Oh, that's cool. So, and what happens to people who are in your group who relapse?
Well, we say sort of what went wrong, what have you done different, but that's the reason we ask only 48 hours clean and sober. We want you to feel welcome to come back in. Sometimes the shame of a relapse can bury you in a pretty dark place, so we try to take that shame away and say, you're welcome, we miss you, we love you.
Wow. When did you start all this stuff?
We started in 2007, actually here in Boulder, Colorado.
How many people do you think have been through the program since you started?
We've served 12,000 people.
Yeah. And you said basically 75% stay in the program, more or less.
Yeah, almost about 80% of our folks say that Phoenix has helped them stay clean and sober. The thing that is really striking to me is just to see how someone changes. When they first come in, their head's hung low. There's a lot of shame and guilt about their addiction. And then you see them start to climb and start to gain that self-confidence, and they walk taller.
Yeah. So is anybody officially recognizing your success? I mean, if your sort of rate of recidivism, or whatever you want to call it, is so much higher than other conventional programs, is anybody saying, hey, let's do that. Let's do what those guys are doing?
We're getting there. It's a big shift, and formal treatment was the way that people looked at it traditionally. But we got our first federal grant, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
And our expansion to Orange County, we're actually looking at Boston, which would be near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
So people are starting to see what we're doing, and they're paying attention.
That's cool. Well, Scott, I think it's really impressive that you were able to turn both your life around, but also create this opportunity for other people to follow your example and use health and fitness and that sort of community goal setting to really create a positive environment for lots of people.
Well,
And so it's been a while. There's a website, I suspect. Phoenix Multisport is the organization. Is that what you said?
Yep. If you go to phoenixmultisport.org, you can learn more about us.
phoenixmultisport.org, and there's pictures and lists of activities and all that stuff.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Scott, congratulations. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for sharing your story. Winner of this week's eChievement Award, Mr. Scott Strode, the founder of Phoenix Multisport. Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you very much.